record numbers of removals, arrests. Right now, we already have a record number, historic number of arrests and removals this fiscal year, and we'd bring on 10,000 more agents by mid-January, and we're going to blow this historic number out of the water next year. So everything's working good. The results speak for themselves. The agents out there doing what President Trump promised he'd do is make his country safe again.
Florida is hitting a breaking point, and almost nobody is willing to say it out loud. For years, the immigration debate in America has been a national shouting match. But in Florida, it's no longer a debate. It's a crisis playing out in real time across neighborhoods, schools, hospitals, and highways, not because of immigration itself, but because of illegal entry, lack of enforcement, and the dangers that come when borders mean nothing.
Private property. You guys are on private property.
This is private
property. Private property. You know what that means? You guys are here illegally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get out of your illegally area then.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, these guys fled and they crashed into our vehicles.
Because you guys were trying to illegally detain them. Illegally. Kidnapping people on their way to work.
And the people on the front line, law enforcement officers, ICE agents, state officials, and community leaders, are sounding the alarm. Not because they want attention, but because the problems are becoming impossible to ignore. Let's break down exactly what's happening. The real problem, illegal entry. Without consequences, Florida isn't struggling because people want to come here. Legal immigration built this country. People who follow the process, get vetted, and enter lawfully contribute to communities every single day. The problem is illegal entry. People crossing the border without permission, bypassing all security checks, and disappearing into communities with no accountability. When someone enters legally, they go through background checks. Criminal history gets reviewed. Identity gets verified. There's a paper trail. When someone enters illegally, none of that happens. No vetting, no verification, no way to know who they are or what they've done. And that creates massive blind spots that dangerous people exploit. The public safety crisis. Everyone ignores. This is where the conversation gets uncomfortable, but we have to talk about it. When the federal government fails to secure the border, people who want to follow the law get mixed in with people who don't. And law enforcement across Florida is dealing with the consequences. Florida has seen major ICE operations targeting individuals with serious criminal records. People who were already ordered removed from the United States but never left. Human traffickers running exploitation networks, drug traffickers moving fentanyl through neighborhoods, MS-13 gang members, Tren de Aragua operatives, repeat violent offenders with assault convictions, domestic violence records, even homicides. These aren't people who made one mistake. These are criminals with extensive records who entered illegally, committed more crimes, got caught, got ordered to leave, and stayed anyway. In one recent operation, ICE arrested individuals with charges ranging from child abuse to armed robbery to sexual assault. People who were living in Florida communities, unmonitored, free to reoffend. This isn't theory. This is happening right now. And the worst part, many of these arrests happened because local law enforcement identified threats but couldn't act without federal help. When sanctuary policies prevent cooperation with ICE, dangerous people stay on the streets longer. ICE, the safety net. Everyone attacks. ICE doesn't create this crisis. ICE responds to it. When they arrest someone, it's because a court already ruled that person should be removed. When they execute an operation, it's because local officials requested help identifying fugitives. When they show up at a location, it's because intelligence indicated someone with a criminal record was hiding there. Yet Florida has seen protests demanding ICE step back, slow down, or stop entirely. People blocking ICE vehicles, activists calling enforcement inhumane, politicians declaring cities sanctuary zones where federal immigration law won't be cooperated with. But here's the truth nobody wants to say. Without ICE, dangerous criminals would stay exactly where they are, hidden in communities, unmonitored, unaccountable, and free to hurt more people. ICE isn't the villain. ICE is the safety net. And right now, that safety net is one of the only things standing between Florida communities and individuals who have no business being in this country. The border crisis fueling Florida's problems. The crisis in Florida starts at the southern border. When border security fails, the consequences don't stay in Texas or Arizona. They spread everywhere. Individuals cross illegally, get released into the interior with court dates years away, and many never show up. They scatter across the country, including Florida. Some genuinely want to work and build better lives, but others are running from warrants, fleeing gang violence they participated in, or actively involved in criminal enterprises. And when there's no enforcement, when there's no consequence for ignoring deportation orders, the message becomes clear: the rules don't matter. That's not compassion, that's chaos. Schools and hospitals. The hidden costs. Florida's schools are dealing with students entering without documentation, without vaccination records, and without any way to verify their backgrounds or histories. A teacher can't just ask a student where they're from or how they got here, but they're expected to educate them while handling overcrowded classrooms and stretched resources. Hospitals face similar challenges. Emergency rooms become primary care clinics for people who can't access regular health care, many of whom entered illegally and have no insurance. The care still happens. Hospitals can't turn people away, but someone pays for it. Taxpayers, insured patients through higher premiums, legal residents who follow the rules. And while providing emergency care is the humane thing to do, the system wasn't designed to handle massive numbers of people who entered without going through proper channels. The criminal networks exploiting weak enforcement. Here's what doesn't get talked about enough. Weak immigration enforcement doesn't just allow individuals to stay illegally, it enables entire criminal networks. Human trafficking operations thrive when borders are porous. Smugglers charge desperate people thousands of dollars to cross illegally, then disappear. Cartel-connected groups use illegal immigration routes to move drugs, weapons, and trafficked individuals. When someone enters illegally and ICE can't locate them, they become vulnerable to exploitation. No papers means no recourse. No legal status means no protection. Criminals know this and exploit it ruthlessly. Young women get trafficked into prostitution, workers get forced into slave labor conditions, children get sold to people claiming to be relatives but aren't. And the traffickers? They blend into communities, run their operations, and bank on the fact that weak enforcement means they probably won't get caught. Strong enforcement doesn't just remove criminals, it disrupts the networks that prey on vulnerable people. The strain on law enforcement. Florida law enforcement is stretched thin trying to handle crimes tied to illegal immigration while also managing normal public safety responsibilities. Officers respond to human smuggling incidents. They investigate fake ID rings. They deal with transnational gang activity that didn't exist in their communities 5 years ago. And when they catch someone with a serious criminal record who's in the country illegally, they often can't do anything about the immigration violation themselves. They need ICE. But if ICE is blocked from operating, if sanctuary policies prevent cooperation, if political pressure forces delays, dangerous people stay on the streets longer. That's not protecting immigrants. That's protecting criminals. Housing and economic pressure, the spillover effects. When large numbers of people enter illegally and work off the books, it creates economic distortions that hurt everyone, including legal immigrants who played by the rules. Unscrupulous businesses hire illegal workers for cash, pay below minimum wage, provide no benefits, and avoid all taxes. They undercut legitimate businesses who follow labor laws. A construction company that verifies work authorization can't compete with one that doesn't. A restaurant paying legal wages loses to one running an entirely cash operation, and workers suffer too. People working illegally have no protections, no recourse if they get injured, no way to report wage theft or abuse. They live in fear of deportation, which makes them perfect victims for exploitation. Meanwhile, housing gets more expensive as demand increases, pushing working families, citizens and legal immigrants alike, into worse conditions or out of neighborhoods entirely. This isn't about hating immigrants. This is about acknowledging that illegal immigration creates problems for everyone, including people who immigrated legally. What enforcement actually means. Enforcement isn't cruelty. Enforcement is structure. Enforcement is what separates a functioning country from a failing one. We enforce traffic laws not because we hate drivers, but because roads would be deadly without rules. We enforce laws against theft not because we lack compassion for people in poverty, but because society collapses without property rights. We enforce immigration laws not to be heartless, but because borders define countries, and countries without borders cease to exist. When Florida passed stricter immigration laws, it wasn't about targeting innocent people. It was about giving law enforcement tools to identify criminals, disrupt trafficking networks, and restore some semblance of order. When ICE conducts operations, they're not rounding up random people. They're executing court-ordered deportations against individuals who already had their day in court and lost. That's not authoritarian. That's how law is supposed to work. The truth about sanctuary policies. Sanctuary policies sound compassionate. They're marketed as protecting vulnerable immigrants from aggressive enforcement. But here's what they actually do. They prevent local police from cooperating with ICE, even when dealing with criminals. An officer arrests someone for assault, discovers they're in the country illegally with an outstanding deportation order, and can't notify ICE because city policy forbids it. That person gets released back into the community, and sometimes they reoffend. There are documented cases of serious crimes, including murders, committed by individuals who were in custody, flagged as deportable, but released because of sanctuary policies. How is that compassionate? How is that protecting anyone? Real compassion means protecting everyone in a community, including legal residents who deserve to feel safe. Florida's message to the nation. Florida is sending a clear message. If we want safe communities and functioning systems, we need enforcement, not slogans, not political theater, actual enforcement of existing laws. We need borders that mean something. We need consequences for people who enter illegally and commit crimes. We need cooperation between local law enforcement and federal agencies. And we need to stop pretending that opposing illegal immigration is the same as opposing immigration. Legal immigration built America. People who follow the process, wait their turn, and enter lawfully deserve respect and support. But illegal entry undermines that entire system. It punishes people who follow the rules. It rewards people who don't, and it creates chaos that hurts everyone. This isn't racism, it's reality. Let me be absolutely clear. This isn't about where people come from. It's about how they enter and what they do once they're here. A violent criminal from Canada is just as dangerous as one from Venezuela. A human trafficker from Europe is just as evil as one from Central America. The issue is illegal entry combined with criminal behavior and lack of accountability. Florida's crisis isn't caused by Mexican immigrants or Haitian immigrants or any specific nationality. It's caused by a broken system that allows illegal entry without consequences and prevents enforcement when criminals are identified. This is about law and order. This is about public safety. This is about whether America still has functioning borders. And right now, Florida is showing what happens when enforcement breaks down. The path forward. The solution isn't complicated. Secure the border. Enforce existing laws. Support ICE and local law enforcement. Remove criminals who have no right to be here. And restore consequences for illegal entry. At the same time, reform legal immigration to make it faster, more efficient, and more accessible for people who want to come here the right way. That's not radical. That's not hateful. That's just common sense. A nation without borders isn't a nation. A system without enforcement isn't a system. And a country that won't remove violent criminals because they entered illegally is a country that has lost its way. Florida is the warning sign. The rest of America should pay attention, because this crisis will keep spreading until we finally have the courage to enforce our laws. If you found this breakdown helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more honest conversations about the issues shaping America, because these are the truths we need to say out loud, even when they're uncomfortable. Thank you for watching.